Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you how to load a Patterson reel with a roll of 120 film with minimal of effort. And I'll show you the areas where I ran into trouble in the past when I've been doing this and how to prevent those problems. And it's pretty easy. Loading 120 film on a Patterson reel is not quite as easy as loading 35 millimeter, but if you take the right precautions, it can be a whole lot easier. Let's get to it. First thing I'm going to tell you is let's just get the film set up right. When it comes out of the camera, just make sure, and I haven't sealed this one yet, but the flap, it actually says right on it, fold flap under before sealing. If you don't fold the end over, it's going to be really hard to find the end of the backing paper when you go to open this in the darkroom or inside your changing bag. So that's what that's for. That gives you that edge. You can find it and get your thumbnail under there or a knife blade or something. And I've done it before where I didn't fold the tab under and I sealed everything up. And then when I'm in the changing bag and I can't see anything, suddenly it feels like I got a roll of tape where you can't find the end and you're trying to feel, and well, at least this isn't a disaster because you can always pull it out of the bag and take a look, which is what I did. But this will help you out. Fold the end under. All right? Before we even start, we want to make sure we've got all the right pieces in there. Besides the Patterson reel, we have to have the tank. We got to have this little thing. And we got to have this little thing. That's your bare minimum, these three pieces. And then, of course, you have the Patterson reel and your film. I would suggest also, as just a safety fallback measure, put the lid in there as well. That way, if you have some kind of a serious foul up and it's just not working, and let's just say this backing paper is the film and you're in a dark room and you're frustrated, just put it in there, put the lid on top, seal it, set it aside, and go out and do something fun. Have dinner, whatever, and come back after watching some calming cat videos or something, and you'll find it'll all just go together. So that is your fallback. You can always just take the film in whatever shape it's in, kind of coil it up, and set it inside your Patterson tank and put the lid on it. Might want to make sure the tank's dry too. Next step, let's get the Patterson reel ready. It has to be bone dry. The film has a gummy layer on it, and any dampness in the Patterson reel is going to cause the film to stick to the insides of the spiral. So you have to have it bone dry. Hold it from a fan, use a hairdryer, whatever you can do. Bone dry. Then set it up. When I had my first Patterson tank, I didn't know how hard it was to open a brand new one of these. It seems like you're going to break it. And nowhere does it tell you which way to twist. It's a bayonet mount. And I think I saw one guy on the internet do this. So here's a second guy. I'm going to show you how you open one of these. It's a bayonet kind of a thing. And you twist it clockwise to open it. The opposite of a screw. Clockwise. And if it's brand new, you're going to feel like you're breaking the thing. And it goes, and you'll feel it go, and then you'll pull it apart. All right, and then for 120 film, you want to put it back in on the notch at the very tip. There's really three notches you can use. The furthest one in is 35 millimeter. The one in the middle is 127 film, which if you're doing that, then you know what you're doing. You don't need this video. And the one at the far end right here on the tip, that is for 120 format film, and that's the one we want. So just get it together and give it a counterclockwise twist to lock it in place. Sanity check. It's the right one. You really want this stuff all set before you get into the bag or in a dark room. Next thing, when we go to load the film onto the Patterson reel, you've got the little triangle things. It's going to be hard to find those when you're in the dark. and when you're trying to get the film onto them. At least with 35 millimeter, the film is narrow enough. It's got enough body. It doesn't have any, there's no issue getting it to start inside the coils. With 120 film, the film's kind of floppy and it's buckling. It really is hard to get it started. So grab a cup from your favorite junk food provider. This one's a Taco Bell cup, and cut a tongue out of the side about 1 inch wide, like that. And the idea is you want this tongue to fit inside these little grooves and go to where the 2 triangle parts are, where the basically the on-ramp to the to the spiral is, and slide this piece right across. And you'll find that the ribbed end of the cup actually helps this stay in place. And now what you've got is a plastic on-ramp. You can feed your film right on top of that, and you'll see it'll just go right in. And while you're at it, grab something like maybe a piece of film and go in there and make sure the little metal beads are free moving. Just slide it right in there. Okay, we're good to go. Now, that's the Patterson reel, all ready to go. And this has already saved you most of the hassles that you would have with 120 film. And if you find that you have to take the whole thing apart and redo it in the bag, it's still possible. You understand now what you've done. You've practiced this outside. You can actually find the triangles and get this piece back in place. But that's going to help you. Now let's get the film. Here's our roll. And in the bag, in total darkness, we're not going to do this in the light, in your dark room, you're going to slice that with your thumbnail or any implement that was sharp enough. And in the other video I did, the one where I showed what's inside the roll, remember how the roll is actually, the film is completely loose inside here? It's backing paper with film kind of wrapped together, but there's only one small piece of masking tape actually holding things together. Well, so what I do is I start to unroll this, and this is in the dark, and I just start coiling up the other end. I do not want a big tangle of backing paper in my way. I don't want it attached to the film. I'm just going to do this, and I'll feel, I can feel the film. And then I just start coiling the film up like this, and it naturally coils up. So I go, keep going, and I'm just taking the backing paper off. You see what I'm doing here? And don't worry about fingerprints. As long as you didn't work on your tractor just before you came in to do this and you washed your hands, you're fine. There's a coating on the film that's going to get dissolved in the process of developing. I don't think I've ever seen a fingerprint in the developing process on my film. And I've been doing loads of these where I simply coil the film up like this. Now we've just got a roll of film. And here we've got the masking tape. And I peel them apart. And then I get rid of the backing paper. I don't want this near me. I don't want a tangle of it or anything like that. I shove it in the back corner of the bag. And here is my film. And it has a piece of masking tape on it. And I'll just peel that masking tape off very gently. And it's not that hard to get off. And I'll usually just stick it inside the bag, on the side of the bag, so that's out of the way. I don't want it to get on the film. Now I've got the film. And I don't know which end I prefer to start. Sometimes I'll actually roll it all the way back. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. I think one end has a little bit tighter curl than the other end. But in any case, what I'll do is this end. Notice see how tight that curl is? It really, really wants to recurl. That is going to cause the film to get stuck when you're trying to shimmy, 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 load it into the Patterson reel. So what I'll do is I'll bend that up. And we're not talking a crease, a heavy crease, but just enough. There it is. Then, in the dark, I grab my prepared Patterson reel and I will use that little plastic cup piece as the on-ramp, and I can feel it slide in. And then this is the next super important part, and you do this whichever way works for you. This is going to be kind of tricky to get it into view. Put your thumbs on those little triangles and just make sure you do not lose that. Never remove your thumbs from those triangles. Anytime I've had the film start buckling on me, it's because I simply forgot where the little triangle pieces were. Keep them under your thumbs as you do the shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. And then you may, what I end up doing is I'll use my fingers like this to support the film. And trying to get it in the shot here. Like that. And then at some point, you'll have to pull your little plastic on-ramp out, and then there we go. And of course it loads perfectly for a demo like this. But there it is. By having this little piece in place and by making sure to never remove my thumbs from these little triangle pieces and flipping the end up so that it doesn't try to dig into the bottom of the spiral, and making sure that this reel is bone dry, I was able to have a flawless load of the Patterson reel. You know what to do from here. That guy on. In there. One time I had this funnel part actually get kind of cocked. It was at an angle. And I didn't notice that until I got it out of the bag. And I panicked and everything was okay. I was able to readjust it and get it to click in place. But ever since then, I always just feel around just to make sure that the edge is at the same height all the way around. I didn't cross thread it. So that's a thing to do. And one final piece of advice before you start developing. Do not forget that you're developing a roll of 120 film. Don't use the measurement for 35mm film for your developer. This tank says 350 milliliters for 35mm film. Don't do it. 500 milliliters on this tank. Make sure you adjust your chemistry for whatever your tank says. In my case, 500 milliliters minimum. Because I always do one shot. That's what I'm going to mix up, 500 milliliters. The first time I did this, I screwed it up and I poured in 350 milliliters, and I instantly recognized my mistake, and I quickly whipped together a new batch of developer and poured it in as fast as I could and agitated everything, but I still had a bathtub ring on those photos. And what it looks like is a band, it's a vertical band about a third of the way across all the photos. And it's unmistakable. Better not make that mistake. Make sure you use the right amount of chemistry for 120 format film. That's all I got for you today. Go out and shoot a roll of film and happy developing. Thank you for watching.